I love motorbikes. I mean, I had my first motorbike when I was about 11 or 12, you know, an old Radco 2-stroke. And where Wilkie's ground is now is a little sandy fairground on the site, the same site. And right in the centre of it was this wall of death. And there was a tiny little Rex Acme motorbike, little 2-stroke, smallest one I'd ever seen. It was like a toy really, but I could ride it. Anyway, they used to let me ride it around about, you know, and this used to attract the people to the wall. And I was dying to get in there and have a go on it. And I didn't realise you've got to be properly trained, otherwise you just so much meat.
People say to you, like what they did do in them years, yeah. Well, even today they say, hey, you roll the death right as if I'm doing it now, you know. And it's like, well, it's something that not many have done, isn't it?
When I first did it, I was terrified, really. Because the bikes are so big and heavy, probably different for a man, you know.
Bill finally took me up on the handlebars for a ride, you know, and I loved it. Yeah. Oh, this is great. So I said, I'd love to do that. He said, well, you know where the frames are, go and build yourself a bike. And they had a little lock-up garage on Mount Road. Anyway, I went up there and I built this bike and wheeled it down to the wall. And Bill tried it on the wall. He said, that's not bad, that's okay. Right, get on it. So I started riding on the starting track, that's the sloping track at the bottom. And Freddie was there and he was saying, go on, speed it up a bit. Right, okay. And he wanted me to know every nail hole in that starting track, because that's your salvation. You coming down that wall and you're out of control. Once you get on that, you're home, because you know every inch of it. It's a great saviour. And lots of younger riders never ever got this training, but Freddie trained me well.
That's how I learned as well. Just the banking track slopes like that, and then you manage to go round that, then you touch the wall, and then you're off again. Yeah. Till you manage to go round, but Fred had said, I don't want to go up the wall, just round and round.
The other way.
You see, so I don't know which way it is now.
You know,
I'd go round normally.
Yeah, like on there.
And he'd go
underneath.
Passing me in front of me and at the back of me and underneath and
the
on
Australian
top.
chase, you know.
You know, making it look very daring. I didn't like it really.
If you put your straight rider up, that got the people used to the fact that the bike was going to be coming fairly well close up to the top, and getting used to the idea that the bike was there and it was passing their nose, because they're looking over the top, you know, and round and round. And then that was a straight rider, and then the trick rider used to go up and do his tricks. The first thing you should do is you bring your leg over and sit side saddle. Then you'd bring the right leg up and bring it up over the handlebars, and then move forward and swing your left leg round, and then you were sitting with the handlebars under your leg to you then, you know, and you swing your feet, you know. Great stuff. Hands off, up and down the wall, hands off, and then back again into the saddle. That was the end of it. Then you used to do the old drop speed, you know, nobody would insure us. That was it. And used to say, owing to the dangerous nature of this work, no insurance company will insure us, you know, will take us on, and so we have our own sort of insurance. I forget how we used to put it. It's a long time ago. And any coin, large or small, you wish to throw over the top will be greatly appreciated. Thank you very much. If you do 2 rides in a show, there was on bank holidays, you could always reckon you were going to do 20 shows at least. That's 40 times up on the wall in a day. And when you got into your bed at night, you were still on the bottom.
Everything falls in the routine with the wall of death, because in the morning you have to prepare the show, which involves checking tyres, the right pressures that are vital, oil changing, cleaning and getting ready, and then maybe around 10 o'clock, 10:30, you're all ready, dressed, and you're riding gear, boots, etc. You're off to take the first show. And then when you pick up the microphone, and people gather around, you know, they know you're ready, and then they buy their tickets, and go in, and you're into the routine of the day then. The real art of riding, if it's followed through to the ultimate, is very spectacular but dangerous. I think in common with all other learner riders, for quite a long period of time we had bad dreams about it, and it's full of tension. And in that early period you have accidents, many accidents, because you haven't really mastered the technique. And I think that takes about 7 years, till you might say that you're 99% safe with it. So the early years are traumatic but very exciting. And especially being so young, everything's got a bigger than life impact upon you. So it was a great experience that you couldn't buy. And very fortunate to get, because there are few riders. So.
At the time I was courting Peter, you know, so I was very much in love with him. I wouldn't say that was a glamorous life, no. I wouldn't say it was any different. It was a job that I loved. I didn't look at it as a job, no, I must admit. It wasn't a job, I just loved it. If we weren't busy during the day, I mean, you weren't always busy, you know, during the day, in the week. And he would say, come on and have a lesson. And my knees would play Annie Laurie. I wanted to do it, but I was terrified. Anyway, that's how I used to do a lesson, and gradually go around. Just go to walk, to push me around, first of all. Just push around on the bottom. Then the next step, I think, was to turn the engine on, and you were going round the bottom. And it used to make you dizzy, because you're going round and round and round and round. And then mounting the ram. Well, I used to put the fear of God of poor old Petey, you know, mounting this ram. I'd go up all right, I'd go to turn round, and I'd turn to, and they're all going up the centre pole out of the way, because I'm going like this, you know. So it was good fun, but it was frightening. Yeah. But I was determined I wanted to do it, you know.
You don't realise that you've been on the wall the first time, which is a part of the skill that Peter teaches. You know, he's a very skillful person himself. And it's most exciting for him when you come off and Peter says, well, you're now a wall of death rider. You've actually been on the wall. And you don't realise it because you are taught to ride in that gap between the track and the wall itself. So it's very exciting. You know. It's indescribable, really. I think it's more because it might be like becoming a father for the first time, if you like. You know, I can't explain it in any other way, but it's just excitement, you know.
There was a wall of death rider called Dougie, and he was a very calm sort of boy, you know, very quietly spoken sort of boy, and he said, let's see how you're going on. So I said, oh, all right. So, and that was the first time I went on. He just said to me, just go a little bit further, and it just came, like, you know. Couldn't believe it myself when I got on. I thought, well, how do I get off?
You have a set of rollers, which are 2 rollers at the back and 1 roller at the front, and the back wheel's driving the back rollers, and the front roller's got a sort of belt attached to it. So when the whole 3 rollers are rolling, the bike will balance, although it's stationary. And if you can imagine that, then the trick rider will perform the stunts on the rollers that he's going to do inside.
Peter, right from the start, taught me that you're in there to give a performance for the public. And there's not only a danger to yourself, but as you may have realised from the past, there's a danger to the public. And like in every show, the paying client comes first. You've got to take them into consideration as well as yourself. You know. It's where the skill comes into it, that you retain the skillful side of the show to give them a performance which is of value.
They played to the audience, you know, especially the boys. But I wasn't that clever. I couldn't take my eyes off what I was doing, you know. I was not that clever. I must admit, each time I went on the bike, your tummy would, you know, move a little bit naturally. I don't think anyone could say, unless the boys probably would. I mean, it's come day, go day. Some of those are so clever at it, they do it with their eyes closed. But not me. I mean, I used to get this little, maybe that's what I did it for, the excitement, you know, of that little tummy feeling every time I started on the bike. And I used to have to go to the side because I was so small. I couldn't stand astride the bike with my feet on the floor. I had to go up to the ramp and have one foot on the ramp because that's the only way I could hold myself up, you know. So it was all, oh yeah, it was exciting, definitely.
Peter was an artist. He used to make it not look easy, but make it look so skillful. He was a part of the machine, a part of the whole job, you know. I've seen other riders, many riders, that were skillful, but didn't make it look the same way as Peter. You get some fine trick riders, they're very fast. They do their trick very, very fast. Peter used to have that artistic way of making it look so beautiful, you know, an artistic piece of work.
Well, it's clever. Well, you know, it is, let's be fair about it, and especially if you see them doing the tricks. And it's frightening for a lot of people to stand over another and think, oh, you know, it's frightening. And the noise, it's a combination, isn't it, you know? Noise, excitement and fear. And if there'd been an accident on the wall, the following weekend, you just, you couldn't get enough people. They're all there looking for another accident, like, you know.
It was a great thrill when you first started it. A great thrill at the beginning of the season. You know, you'd been laid off all winter. Great thrill, you were back on again, you know, and people were coming in and they were going to chuck the nobbins in. And you got contemptuous of it. Well, not contemptuous, but it breeds, you know, familiarity, breeds contempt. Then you fall off. You got a healthy respect for it from then on, for a while. And then you get cocky. This is the word, you actually get cocky. You're doing it. And the cockier you get, the more chance you've got of falling off. Because you do something damn silly, trying to show off.
I fell off in Germany and I broke my wrist. I got a number of scars on my face and head. Broke my leg. I actually wasn't aware of most of my injuries until I actually woke up in the hospital in Germany. We were operating in a place just outside Frankfurt called Isenburg, and I woke up in the hospital, which was not realising at that particular moment exactly where I was, but it was extremely uncomfortable, very, very painful to come off the ball.
We finally got to opening up on the Friday night. And we started to ride, and I was doing the trick riding. And I got up the wall, and I'd done the side saddle, and I climbed over the bars, and I was bringing my leg back again round the handlebars, and my breeches got stuck on the end of the bar, and it threw the bike down, across the floor, and up the other side, and it was going straight up. And I don't know, I seemed to manage to turn it, and I was side on with the top, and I saw my front wheel go over a kid's face. He was a back entry diddler, and he scarred, but you could see it all plainly. It was like slow motion. And I could see the trailer, there was a big trailer outside, alongside the wall. I thought, I'm going down onto that, that's where I'm going to finish up, get killed here. Anyway, I managed to get off the bike. I seemed to kick the bike somehow. I made a grab for the safety cable, and one of the whiskers of the cable ripped me either one of the thumbs. I got about 2 stitches in it, and I made a grab and couldn't hang on. And the bike had gone down, and it was on the floor, side down, you know, revving like hell in top gear, with the throttle flat out. And of course I couldn't hold on, and I dropped, and I fell back into the wheel. Well, I must have grabbed the frame, because the wheel was going like hell. And what happened, it snapped my arm and carried my arm in. It snapped there, so that my knuckles were back on my elbow, and the two halves of my arm had been carried down inside the wheel and the frame. Of course, when I looked, and the bone sticking out here, and bone sticking out here, and I was quite calm. It had happened. I knew it had happened. I knew I was in a mess, but there was nothing else I could do about it. I said, right, don't cut the frame, you might get the filings into this brake, because it was all, the bone was right out, you know, sticking right out. Said, get the spanners, probably the bolts, the knot is probably embedded in the joints, it should come out, it was a bolt, you see. And get the brake anchor off and the spring link out of the chain. And when I say left, ease the wheel out. So they did this. I was sort of sitting up, but I was trapped, you know, at an angle like this. Anyway, they finally got the wheel out, slid it out, and I got hold of my fingers and I unfolded it, got my arm, the two arms, and just folded my arm back like that. By this time, there was a drunken chemist in there, and he put a morphia pill under my tongue, and I said, just strap me up, bind me up. And they took me 10 miles then to Carlow Hospital. And there was the surgeon waiting on the steps with his white boots. The last thing I remember was saying to him, don't cut my arm off, I'm a musician.
I just slid down the wall onto the bottom and the bike went on, but they managed to get it because it slid off anyway. And I went to the doctors, didn't I? He came along with his walking stick the following day, didn't he? And he called me over and he said, come and sit on this seat here. He said with me, you're not riding the wall today. I thought, oh God, what's up with him? A proper little dapper doctor, you know. And he said to Fred, you're trying to kill her. He said, she's not going to ride this wall today. He said, I'm sitting here to make sure she doesn't. I hurt my leg, you see. So he said, oh, yes, oh God, you know more than me. We had a rifle range next door. So he said, tell you what, you go on the rifle range, perhaps you'll take more money than what's being taken in. He was a little old man, wasn't he? And he wasn't very good at people sometimes don't like some sort of people, do they? And so I went in, and he said, go on the shooting range, Ali, that's nothing, all you're doing is bringing pellets out, you know, giving how many people are there. It's 5 for him, 5 for him, 5 for him. And I stood there like this, waiting for them to shoot past me. Instead of shooting past me, shot me in the head.
The worst crash of the lot, it happened in New Brighton. It happened just before the war in 1939. There was a fellow named Johnny Campbell, and he was a Canadian, and his wife was a Russian girl. Don't know her name now. Fred might be able to tell you, and he should know more about it than I do, really. But she was up on the wall, and she lost control, and she went out over the top, and she killed a bus driver. The stump of the bike hit this bus driver full in the face. Of course, it killed him. And she went out over the top of the wall, down, and landed on the railings outside, still astride the bike. And it took her leg off. And I think that was the end of the Wall of Death in New Brighton. That was in 1939. War broke out soon after. And I think that was the end of it until Bill started it up again. Bill Miller and Sam Doughty and Ken Hood started it up again about 1940. 44, 45,
Yeah.
40, it must have been 44 because the Yanks were then, they used to tell me that they used to, when they were asking for the nobbins, you know, for the insurance money, they used to empty the pockets. Gee, gosh, that's great, empty the pockets over the top of the wall.
was 10 bob notes and it was a lot of money in them days.
The notes floating down were...
He used to float.
float like...
And we had a fellow working for us, Bill Long. I have a picture of him there, Big Bill. And he loved his droppings, didn't he? I would be the boss, me. I'm not being kind-hearted now.
He didn't take any.
But I didn't take any.
He left it for Bill now.
You two. Because I had what was coming through the cash box, you know. Anyway, this Bill, he used to say, oh, keep smiling.
He used to say to me, give him the old Odo. You know, I had rather nice teeth then.
New Brighton has had an association with the Wall of Death since before the war, since long before the war. And I think that the local talent, you know, became Wall of Death riders. Not too many, but they became Wall of Death riders and kept the wall going in New Brighton, you know, so it became an ongoing thing. And that's why I think New Brighton has more Wall of Death riders, ex-Wall of Death riders, than anywhere else in the country. Probably anywhere else in the world, for that matter.
Well, there was always great crowds. Because of course there was a boat going into New Brighton in them days. And the place was always packed, solid.
Packed.
And it was, no effort getting a pitch on and getting them in, you know. It was great.
You could walk down Victoria Road and you'd walk on top of the heads. It was that thick with crowd. You know, really, all the places, all the shops were open. And there's always loads of people in the shop. Couldn't go in and get served straight away, like, you know, too busy. But this place was bouncing. It was great, fabulous.
When really New Brighton was in its heyday, a day out at the amusement park was an in thing. And people used to come from the Black Country, Staffordshire, Potteries, and from north around Burnley, Colne, in what they call Wakes Weeks, and spend a day on the coach, parking on the car park at the top of the tower, and then spending the whole day in New Brighton.
Ghost train was just up the top of this pathway here.
Good Lord, I can't recognise it now.
Just up the top of that.
Yes.
Was there.
Yeah.
And my shooter was right next to it.
And
then there was the tower ballroom there. And there was a dodgem track this side of it.
Yeah.
And a big dive bomber.
Yeah.
And we came round the tower to the waxworks entrance. And there was the wall right there.
Yeah.
Where that dip is.
Wall of Death, yes.
And that's where it was.
You always hear the songs and praises about show business, I think. It was exciting, you know, it was a very good atmosphere, excellent atmosphere around that period.
But then it was like a show business to me. And I had been in show business quite a number of years. And that was another sort of show business to me. You draw the crowd because you're a woman, you know. That's why I always had to do all the spiels on the front because of being a woman.
All we that did it for the years that we did, I think that the main attraction was the adulation. Because we were fairly presentable looking and we always wore, you know, boots and riding breeches and, you know, decent coloured shirts and things like that. I suppose there was a certain attraction. Whether it had anything to do with the fact that you got a great big bike under you and you were doing daft things on it, you know, you were like one hell of a fella.
Thousands of children. 10 deep, the queue went out of sight. We started at 8:30 in the morning and we were going till 10 at night. Show after show and you couldn't hear because it was screaming kids. You couldn't ask for any nobbins because no one could hear you. Unbelievable.
Step right forward for the Hell Riders show. Your last opportunity now, ladies and gentlemen, to see the Hell Riders on the inside. Hey, look now, watch them ride, it's the Hell Riders. You see a full 15 minutes of high-speed entertainment on this inside. You see riders performing tricks, acrobatics and stunts on the vertical wall. A wall as straight up and down as any wall in your own home. Step right forward, don't hesitate on the broad walk. Come to the cash desk and pay straight away, eh?
To do a job like that, on the wall of death, I think you've got to be a little bit cracked. It's something that's there. You know you're going to get hurt, and yet you still go on with it.
I don't think I could do it today. I'd be too frightened today. But I did enjoy it. And I think you're young and silly, you don't know what you're doing, do you? You know what I mean?
We've had a really wonderful life.
Your cruises and
It's
all
come to a
sorts.
dead end here. They say you never come in to play bingo, and not ready for bingo yet.